So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. I'm eating some homemade chicken and rice. I made it myself, so of course it's good. This is the first thing that I ate today. Well, I had a cereal bar this morning for breakfast. I don't eat big breakfasts, very rare, but anyway, let's have a chat. Let you know I'm eating at the same time. So, someone brought something to my attention, right? I want to say a spiritual coworker and a fellow occultist. He brought something to my attention. He he enlightened me, and I'm not laughing about the situation. I'm laughing because he's always this person. He's always on the money about everything. He's a cancer, and they don't miss nothing. Cancers are trailblazers. They are trend starters, and I like them. Anyway, he was telling me about the death, unfortunately, of somebody that was a major, I'm going to say, homophobic person who did not like gay people. He did not like trans people. He hated white people. He was just a person that had a lot of internal issues. He wasn't that old when he died. I don't know exactly what his age was, but I want to say late 40s, maybe 50, if that. He died from stage 4 cancer last year. And I remember him because he debated another YouTuber who is a gay man, a well known YouTuber who is a gay man. They debated about homosexuality many, many years ago, right here on YouTube. Of course, this person who passed away, he was opposed to homosexuality, and that's his right. He can be opposed to whatever he wants. The problem with him, though, is this, and this is what I want to talk about. I can understand him hating, not hating, but I can understand him disliking certain agendas that may be a threat to him personally. But he had a deep rooted, I'm going to say it. I didn't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. He had a deep rooted hatred for gay people, trans people, and he had a deep rooted hatred for white people as well. And He was one of those pro-black types. Well, not a well-known one, but he was a self-proclaimed pro-black type. Now, he said in one of his final, in a series of final videos that he posted on his channel, he said he was battling stage 4 cancer and it had spread to his liver. And he was trying to use holistic approaches to cure or defeat the cancer. But obviously, they did not work. Because the problem is this: his issues were not just physical, his issues were spiritual in nature as well. So the spiritual coworker who told me that he had passed away last year, I was shocked. I was like, really? And this is, I don't know this man's, lifestyle choices or what he did in his life, but I'm going to assume that he lived a healthy, clean lifestyle as far as eating. But even that did not save him. Because a lot of people with that mindset, they hate this person, they hate this person, they hate that person. A lot of people with that mind, he really hated Caucasian people. He hated Caucasian people, which I think is a sickness of the mind as well, just as it is when they hate us. The problem was not the physicality. The problem was he had spiritual issues that he was not dealing with. So he could have been taking all of the holistic remedies all he wanted. But until those spiritual issues are addressed, the sickness is not going to go anywhere. You feel what I'm saying? And that's not to say that holistic medicines and remedies don't work. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, some of them do, I guess. I don't know. I'm not in that world. But, and I don't want to give out any medical advice. But for whatever reason, his cancer, it took him out. But the person who contacted me, my spiritual coworker and friend, he said to me, he said, Seer, he said, you predicted this. I said, what? Because you all know that I make a lot of videos. I don't remember everything that I've said in certain videos. Child, I'm getting old. I don't remember every damn thing I say in these videos. Okay? He pointed out, he said, yeah, in one of your videos, you predicted this. He said you mentioned him before in one of your videos, and you said that he had issues in his chakras and that some kind of way cancer was going to develop. I said, what? He said, yeah. He sent me the video that I did on this channel, and he was right. I'm not going to get into which one it was. It doesn't matter. I said, I did? He said, yeah, you predicted this years before it happened. I said, bitch. I said, bitch. Not calling him a bitch. I was saying that to myself, child. I said, bitch, are you serious? And this is nothing to laugh at. This is very serious. Very serious. This man had a deep-rooted hatred for for the LGBT community and for white people. And I knew that it was spiritual in nature. There are pro black men who may not agree with me being gay or whatever the case may be, but they don't have a hatred. It's just one of those things where that's just not the type of energy for me. Okay? But what you do, that's your business. That's how most of the men that I've come across. And I can deal with that. Because most of them, I don't want them no way because they kind of on the ugly side, but that's another story, child. But anyway, so that's how it's usually put out there. But this person, he actively went after, he act he actively and maliciously went after gay people. He went after lesbians. He especially went after lesbians with a vengeance. He even wrote a book trying to compare homosexuality to doing things with animals that are inappropriate. He tried to compare that in his book. And what I find interesting is that from my studies and from my experience and observation, most of the people or most of the men that do things with what you want to call animals or having ritualistic interactions with animals on an inappropriate level, most of the men that participate in that are heterosexual men. Just to put that out there, black or white, because black men do it too. Don't try to just, don't try to just sweep it under the carpet and say it's just white. No, it's black men that do it too. See, the thing about me is this: I dislike everyone equally, but I also love everyone equally. And when I say love, I don't mean it in a delusional way. Of course, I don't love someone that I don't know, but everyone has the potential, no matter what race you are, to get love from me as long as I'm receiving it from you. You feel what I'm saying? If you treat me good and I like you, I don't care what your skin color is. You could be purple. But I talk about the injustices and I talk about how certain people get certain privileges. I have a right to talk about that. I've seen the worst in black people. I've seen the worst in white people. I've seen the worst in Asian people. I've seen the worst in Indian people, Mexican people, Latin people, so on. But also at the same time, I have seen the best in black people. I've seen the best in white people. I've seen the best in Indian people. I've seen the best in Mexicans and Latinos and Hispanics. I've seen the best and worst in both groups of people. So with that, and gay people and straight people too alike. So what that tells me is that for me, a person who's on a spiritual journey, is that you can't put every group of people in one box. And this is not dismissing racism, injustice, um, heinous things that have happened to black people at the hands of racist white people. It's not doing that. But it's compartmentalizing it and looking at it in a broader view. This is not putting white people on a pedestal, but it's making sure that we understand all of the information. Because if you end up like that person that I'm talking about, who died from cancer, unfortunately, and I'm saying unfortunately because where I am going in my consciousness, I can't take any hatred for another person with me. As much as he did not like people like me, I never had any interactions with him, nor would I if I did not have to. I would have never done a debate with someone like that in terms of homosexuality. There is no debate about homosexuality. Homosexuality is here and it's not going anywhere. Just like black people are here, we're not going anywhere. But where I am going consciously, I can't take that type of hatred with me. I have compassion for when I was looking at his videos, I have compassion for him. And I have compassion for him because I saw his demons. I saw his pain. I'm going to get into that. But I have seen the best and the worst in both groups of people. In all groups of people, I've seen the best and the worst. So I can't really put one group over the other. Because if I'm really being honest and I'm an honest person, and a lot of people don't like my direct honesty, and I don't really care if they don't. That's their business. They can go and themselves. But most of the people that have caused me problems have been other black people, especially in my family. Because they think that they have a right to just say and do whatever they want to say and do to you. Because of this mantle of this illusion that we call family, which is really tied into not the occult, but cultism. You know, in the animal kingdom, when a person grows up, they go off and do their own thing. They leave their family, they leave the nest. And I'm not saying that humans should do the things that animals do, but I'm just pointing out some things. You feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to that very, very sensitive subject of race, and as it pertains to my spirituality, where I am going, there is no racism. There is no wars. There is no suffering where I am going. And I'm not talking about dying or going to heaven or anything. No, I'm talking about elevating my consciousness. That is what I'm talking about. And not alleviating people's responsibility because only they can do that. Only they can alleviate their responsibility or take responsibility for the hurt, pain, and harm they may have caused. This man that died, he drank a lot of bitterness and he expected it to harm the people that he did not like or the groups of people that he had an issue with. He had an issue with Dr. Umar Johnson. He had an issue with Louis Farrakhan. He had an issue with this person, that person. He had so many issues with different people. He was out there as a community activist, if I'm not mistaken, trying to heal the community, trying to combat injustice. And hey, I respect him and I applaud him for that. But here's the thing. How can you help heal, combat when you're sick yourself? Let me say that again. How can you heal anything when you yourself are sick? How can you heal anything when you're sick? You know, and this is kind of personal, but I don't care who knows it. My friend, Christopher Barry, and you know, I talk about him a lot because he was, no matter what he did in life, you know, no matter what his personal afflictions may have been, he was such an inspiration to me and he did not even know it. And those are the most inspirational people when they are not consciously trying to inspire you. If he were here now in the physical, I would look him in his eyes and tell him, you don't know how much you inspired me, how much you helped me to heal. But that's because that was a soulmate connection. And we were basically gazing into each other's soul, which was one. We became one. But at the same time, Christopher was not a happy person. And see, I knew this because I had a intimate personal relationship with him. He was not a happy person. No matter what face he put on for the people around him, he was not a happy person. When he was with me, he could be himself. And I saw the pain. I saw the hurt. I saw the sickness. So I understand. I understand that pain because I've seen it before. And then a lot of times, these pro black men, they come to people like me on the DL looking for comfort, looking for a certain frequency. But this person that passed away, unfortunately, he looked at everything as negative. He was immersed in unbalanced negative energy. See, the problem, this is the issue with a lot of people like him, especially a lot of heterosexual black men. I'm going to be honest with you, and this is no shade to heterosexual black men at all. But the problem that a lot of you have spiritually is that you really don't know how to transmute your trauma. You don't know how to transmute that negative energy into positive energy. It's not just about a healthy diet or eating seeds and eating plants and roses. No, that's only cultivating the physical part. Because this person that died, like I said earlier, I'm sure he ate healthy, but he developed cancer anyway. It's not just about the physical diet. They don't cultivate the spiritual part of themselves. They leave that untouched because, again, they are more wrapped up into becoming a cult than an occultist, than a spiritualist. See, the reason I can have compassion for him, and I know I'm going all over the place, but that's what I do. I'm the occult view. The reason I can have some compassion for him is because he has no control over my emotions. This is not about forgiveness in the Christian sense. See, in the Christian sense, forgiveness is for the other person. They say it's for you, but the magician's trick is that's for the other person to alleviate them of guilt. But in occultism, let's say forgiveness for layman's terms, it's for you. And what that does is it takes back your power from that person. And I'm not going to I'm going to change the word from forgiveness to compassion. Because once you have compassion for someone of that nature, once you have compassion for them, then you are mastering your own mind and your own emotion. Because that person, the one who angers you, that is who controls you a lot of times. The one who hurts you, that is who controls you. But then when I listened to the demons inside of him, when I listened to what was going on inside of him, and I saw him, he was bedridden, making videos in his last days, and he was still holding on to bitterness. He was still holding on to anger. And then his anger went from the system to his brothers and his mother. Because in one of his last videos before he died, he was talking about, and this is what it all makes sense. He had mommy issues. A lot of homophobic men, a lot of misogynistic men, they have mommy issues. And when you don't get the love and support from your mother as a young man growing up, you can have mommy issues if those needs are not met, efficiently, within a balanced way. He talked about his mother like a dog in that video. He was angry with his mother because the video said when your mother is the devil in your life. And that may be a reality for some men and some women. Hell, me and my mother didn't get along for a long time. But what ended up happening was I started having compassion for her. Sometimes we still don't get along. And I don't mean on a long-term basis, but sometimes she gets on my mother effing nerves because sometimes my mother don't know what to say out her mouth. And she doesn't know how to talk to people sometimes. She's a Capricorn and they can be wild cards. But at the end of the day, you only get one mom, you know, and that's how I look at it. And he was angry with his mother because she said something to him about being out in the street, protesting and doing these other things. That's just a mother's nature. They don't want anything to happen to their child, whether they raised you or not. They still feel an obligation to protect you no matter how old you get to be. So he was mad at his mother. He was mad at his brothers. I'm listening to all of these demons. I'm listening to them. And then it's no wonder. And then we wonder why, rather. He ended up with stage 4 cancer that was incurable. Even on his deathbed, he was still cursing people. He was still not accepting responsibility for his actions. He said in that same video, yeah, I called my brother some names and I said this and I said that. You a grown man, get over it. This is how a lot of black men go to their grave. This is how a lot of black people go to their grave. He had no remorse. He didn't take any type of no contrition. So when you look at his life in review, all of the homophobia, all of the hatred against white people, all of the hatred against the LGBT community, when you look at his life in review, all of that hatred that was not transmuted the proper way. Because a lot of men don't know how to transmute energy no matter what they say. They know how to read books. But do you actually know how to transmute trauma and energy? At least in some form or capacity. And the answer is no. They know how to read books and repeat what Bobby Hemmett said. They know how to repeat what Brother Panic said. They know how to repeat what C. Freeman L. said. But are they actually doing any real work to transform themselves? See, this person that I'm talking about, he did not do any real spiritual work to transform himself. He was waiting for God to do it. He was waiting for someone else to do it for him. But God can't work or move in your life if you are not tapped into that God frequency. Especially if you're a man, because we have to tap into it. See, it's easier for women because they're more connected to the God than we are. He could not tap into that. So that is why all of his works came from a place of hatred. And that hatred turned into cancer. In my opinion, I'm not giving no medical advice, but in my opinion, it turned into cancer. He was drinking bitterness. He was drinking hatred, and not the type of hatred that motivates you. And when I say motivates, say, for example, you hate something about yourself. Say that you want to change something about yourself. You will hate it enough to make it happen. Say that you hate living where you live. You will hate it enough where you will go out and do something about it. That's hatred that motivates you, not hatred that harm that you use to harm other people. See, he used his words to harm other people. He used his energy to send out negative frequencies to other people, and it ended up backfiring on him, unfortunately for him, because he did not know how to transmute that negative energy. You know, I remember Sylvia Brown used to always say that one of the reasons that she believed that people incarnated on Earth when Earth was such a negative place is because we come down here as gods, many gods, and we're trying to learn about negativity so we can transmute it, so we can turn it into positive energy. And a lot of these people, they don't know how to do that. They talk about power to the people. They talk about but most of the people that I saw this man attack and go after, he was talking about white people, and he shouldn't be attacking anybody who's not bothering him. But most of the people that he attacked were not white people. They were other melanated people. And that seems to be a common theme with black men who think like him. And then here's another thing, too. The frequency on the earth is changing. And if your frequency is not vibrating on the higher frequency, then this is what's going to happen to you. So I did predict that this was going to happen to him. I did predict it. Now that I really think about it, I did predict it because I could hear the dysfunction within him. I could hear it. The earth has shifted into another dimension, a higher frequency. And you cannot take those lower vibrations into this higher frequency. So those people who refuse to do the work and change, which is the shadow work, which none of them believe in doing, they're waiting for Yahweh to save them. But you see where that's getting them. They're waiting for Yahweh to come and save them. But what's happening is that if you're not doing the shadow work that it requires for you to elevate to the fifth dimension, then what's going to happen is you will end up no longer being around. And that's what happened to him. That is why a lot of homophobic, racist people, a lot of them are disappearing. A lot of them are disappearing, if you notice, because a lot of them don't exist in the same dimension that we do anymore. They've been left behind in the lower dimensions with all of the hatred, the wars, the conflict, the suffering. They've been left behind in those dimensions. The shift is not done yet. It's more to come. So when I say that I can have compassion for someone like that, it's not because I like him. It's not because I would take him some chicken soup and go and hold his hand or no shit like that. No, it's just that he doesn't have control over my emotions. Do I agree with the shit that he was saying? Absolutely not. Do I like him? Absolutely not. But I have compassion because he was a human being and his life was lost senselessly because of his own bitterness, because he drank his own bitterness. He drank his own poison. And I know some people are going to say, well, they probably took him out or anything like that. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Of course not. Not this time. He took himself out because he refused to change. Even on his deathbed, he was still bitter. He was still angry. And then we got the real story. We got the real story that he was really angry with his mother and he faulted everyone else. He faulted black women who were lesbians. He faulted black men who were gay. He faulted white people. He faulted Louis Farrakhan. And we all know that a Louis Farrakhan and a lot of them other people are government agents. We get all that. But at some point, even with that, you have to back up off of that and you have to focus on your own spiritual journey. See, he was not focused on his own individual spiritual journey as an occultist. He wanted to be a cult. He wanted to create a cult where people followed him. He even ran for public office where he was from in Michigan. But how could he possibly heal anyone when he was sick? The same way he says that gays and homosexuals and lesbians are sick, he was the one that was sick. Now, again, I get fighting against injustice. I get fighting against things that are trying to violate you as a man or as a woman. I get that. But that's not what he was doing. He was attacking anyone who was gay. He was attacking anyone who was white. While drinking his own poison and while not doing any shadow work to deal with the fact that he had a deep-rooted hatred for his own mother. But he wanted to heal the black community. And then the black community wonders why there has been no healing in the black community. You know why? Because the leaders that we look up to are sick themselves, just like him. Even in the black spiritual community. So I want to thank my play little brother, my spiritual co-worker, who I admire, and he's an inspiration to me as well. I want to thank him for bringing that to my attention. Yes, I did. I did predict this. I did predict this because I knew what was going to happen because I've seen it as a spiritualist and occultist. I knew, and with the gift that I have, I know when a person is not balanced. I know when a person is not balanced, and he was not balanced. No matter how good his diet was, no matter how many holistic supplements he took, he still ended up with a horrible disease. And his lack of shadow work, I believe, exacerbated it. And this is not in all cases, but it's in his case. It's in his case. And even on his deathbed, he was still bitter and blaming other people for his problems, blaming his brother, blaming his mother, because he wanted to control everyone around him. See, it was all about control. That is why he tried to get into politics, and it failed because he didn't really have the backing, or really, I don't believe he had all of the knowledge to do that, whatever. But it failed. He wanted to, people like that oftentimes do get into politics. And we think that a lot of these people who think that a lot of the people in the LGBT community, we think that some of these people are our allies, but in actuality, they just want to use us to keep getting elected, or use black women to keep getting elected, or use black men to keep getting elected, or to use white women to keep getting elected. I mean, for the 90% of Trump supporters out there, do you really think he gives a F about any of you? Trump don't like middle class people. He don't like poor people. And most of the people that are supporting him are not rich. Not like him. But they use and they play on our sympathies and they play on our minds and they play on our weaknesses because they know people are looking for a leader. Like Tina Turner said, we don't need another hero. We don't need another hero. And the hero cannot heal or help if he is sick. And this individual, he was sick. He was sick. And I'm talking about long before the cancer unfortunately took him out. I am sorry for the loss of life. I am. I have compassion for that. He's not going to control my emotions. He's not going to control my emotions. That's called growth and mastery. But again, it's also about transmuting your pain. See, I know how to transmute my pain. See, I know how to transmute my generational trauma that my ancestors had to deal with, dealing with racism and oppression and all of that. I know how to I've transmuted that. I've transmuted that. And I now use that in a brilliant career that I have now that is outside of YouTube because I've learned how to transmute that type of energy and that type of negativity. See, he didn't know how to do that. When he did that debate with that gay young man, he was the only one screaming and yelling and hollering all in the camera because he was a man that felt like he was never heard. And men like that, I'm not saying him specifically, but men like that who have that type of those type of mommy issues, they turn into woman beaters. They turn into all types of horrible people in society. And then if they don't turn into women beaters or child abusers, they turn into haters of gay people. They turn into haters of other races. To me, he's really no different than the white men who have harmed black people in a lot of these, incidents where they went into public places harming black people. He's no different because he harmed black people. Because if he was really helping black people, he would have took a step back, got himself well, spiritually well, and then he would have went out and tried to help black people. I know I had my differences with Brother Panic. I know I did. But one thing I will say about it, when I saw him in person years ago, he never mistreated me. No matter how he felt about homosexuality, and no matter how I may feel about him now on a human level, he did not disrespect me when I saw him. He showed me the utmost respect. And that is the Panic that I have respect for right there. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I will give him. He was intelligent enough to put his feelings aside or however he felt. That's one thing I will give him. I'll give him that much. You know what I'm saying? And at least he had enough sense in some retrospects to show me some respect and regard. Now, that was then. But I'm only bringing that up to make a point that some people are good at separating their personal human feelings from their spiritual. And see, that is all part of spiritual transmutation. So you can tell he's done some forms of shadow work. Because at one time, Panic didn't like gay people like that. But then I came along, after he did some of that shadow work, and I definitely saw the change in him at that time. But this person over here, he had a religious mindset. And people with those religious mindsets, this is what ends up happening to them. This is what ends up happening to them a lot of times. Not necessarily, getting cancer or anything like that per se, but they end up becoming victims of their own making. They end up becoming victims of their own self fulfilling prophecy for lack of spiritual work. And then they will find others who will follow them because they're following that weak vibration. But if you're not able to keep up with the frequency on the planet, which the frequency is rising, and if all you have in your heart is unchecked hatred, negativity that's not balanced and transmuted, if you have all of those things in your heart, then this is what's going to happen to you. You will perish. And it's not about loving your enemy, but it's having enough compassion for them so you can internalize that and master yourself. Master the 7 seas and the 7 continents, which is the chakra system. The 7 seas. That's what I call it. The 7 seas. Mastering your spiritual centers. Now, do I like that dude? No, I don't like him. The one that died, I don't like him. I don't like him. But even going back to Brother Panic for a minute, I had to, the anger that I had towards him, I had to transmute even that. And I had to have compassion for him. And I do. And I do. I do. That is how you transmute it. And how you do that, it's interesting. You have see, it's hard to explain because you have to have spirit, you have to have a certain spiritual gift. See, I can see people's pain. You know what I mean? I can see people's pain. And when I can see people's pain, I'll sit up and say, see, why are you mad at that person? Look at what they're going through. Look at their struggle. And this is no shade or no disrespect. But when you look at another person struggle and what they're going through, and when you look at their pain and stuff, then, it's like, why are you mad at this person? Here I am, big and strong and healthy and, and spiritually of sound mind and body, and I can open up portals and dimensions. I can do whatever I want to do. And you're mad at somebody else? Why are you wasting your energy being hurt and mad over something that really and truthfully was a lesson that actually raised your vibration and enlightened you even more? So why are you mad? Why are you upset? So what, they hurt your feelings? Shit, your feelings been hurt before. It's okay. It's okay. Doesn't mean I'm going to go take them chicken noodle soup. Doesn't mean we're going to hang out and be friends. This is all about me and my spiritual journey. And because this young man over here that died, because he died worrying about other people and neglecting himself, neglecting his own spiritual journey. He was so busy pointing his finger at the world. He never took that time to turn that finger inward and start doing some work. He never did that. See, a lot of times when you all don't hear from me or if I'm not making videos, that's because I'm doing a lot of inner work. I'm doing a lot of introspection. I'm like the hermit card in the tarot deck. I use a lot of my time to go inward to see how I can improve my own spiritual journey and my own spiritual existence. And sometimes you have to find avenues, not of forgiveness. That's a Christian concept. I don't believe in forgiveness. I don't believe in that frequency. But I do believe in compassion, because when you find compassion for other people, you can find freedom and compassion and mastery over yourself. And I'm all about expanding my consciousness. That's what I'm about. Again, I'm not telling people, before people get it misconstrued, I'm not telling you to forgive any fucking body. You can hold a grudge until the day you die. I don't care. I'm talking about me. I'm not telling anybody else what to do, because your spiritual journey ain't gonna make me shit. And my spiritual journey ain't gonna make you shit. I'm talking about my own spiritual evolution from my eyes, not from someone else's. This is why I don't follow people. And from where I'm sitting, within the intermediate doorway between the third and the fifth dimension, where I'm sitting, I'm feeling pretty good. Not saying that we won't have conflicts and stuff like that. Of course we will, because we go in between dimensions all the time. But it's just that my thinking and my way of thinking and where I'm going, it's elevating to another level. So I don't have the interest to have hatred for, or be angry with anyone, to be honest with you. Because when you go down that road or that avenue of being hateful, not hateful, but just being angry with a person for so long, that's like you drinking poison and you expecting them to get sick. I had to deal with my dislike, and I want to say my hatred for Cora Masters Berry, Marion Barry's widow. I had to deal with that. No, I don't like her, but I had to deal with that because I really disliked that woman for some of the things she did to Christopher that I will not mention. She did some pretty horrible things to him that he confided in me, and I won't mention what it is. But I had to take that hatred and transmute it. This is a form of transmuting negative energy as well, talking about it. This is my type of spiritual work right here. I'm talking about it and giving other people the information that they may want to have. And if you want to elevate to the fifth dimension, then one of the first things, I'll give you a little tidbit, because everybody should do things however they want to do it. If you want to elevate to the fifth dimension, then one of the things you have to do as much as possible, you have to change your mind. Fuck your diet. Fuck your diet. You have to change your mind. It's about the mind. It's about how you think about stuff. And the more and more I've noticed, and I was telling this to somebody, as a matter of fact, my spiritual coworker, I was telling him, I said, the more and more I elevate to the fifth dimension, I don't see certain people anymore. Certain people are starting to disappear and become non-existent. Interesting. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Um, yeah. So enjoy your day, and remember, always take time out in your day to do some type of meditation, affirmation, whatever it is that you do, whatever type of work that you do, always take time out of your day to spiritually protect yourself. Okay? That's all I have to say. Thank you.